It's been pretty easy getting guests. We've had people fly in, like, from out of town. It's complete strangers.
Yeah, dude. I like watching your podcast and listening to it, dude. It's good stuff. I'm excited to be here, dude.
Dude, I'm stoked to have you, bro.
Pump.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Just don't, choke me out.
No, dude. No, you're good. Yeah, if you come to the gym, we got to do it. I choke you choke me. Back and forth. It's a good time.
I always tell people, I talk to people, you've come up a lot. Well, we'll get to it. We'll do the intro.
Choke it? Wait, what you got to choke it? Get it now. Later on, they'll put it together.
My neck, dude.
It wasn't what it sounded like.
All right, ready to roll?
Yes, sir.
What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. As always, we got my man Logan Hyder of Cinema 83 in the house doing his thing.
Hello.
And today, sorry, I'm just fired the fuck up, dude. It's nice and cold, so I feel good.
Coffee. Yeah.
You're like a
Whole
husky.
plunge this morning. Get
Like a
warmed up.
husky.
And a lot of Starbucks.
Yeah.
But today, we have a very special guest for you. He's actually my old jiu-jitsu coach a couple years ago, or something like that. And, he lives well across town now. But his name is Cory Robinson of Phoenix MMA.
Ooh, let's go.
Thanks for having me, man.
Welcome,
Glad to be
man.
here.
So, like I said, we go back a little bit. I used to live in Hermitage, Tennessee, so it's probably 45 minutes away from here. And Cory had a space there where he did, MMA stuff. We'll let him talk about that. So I was doing jiu-jitsu under him. He's a black belt, and obviously I moved away to Murfreesboro, but we've always stayed in touch or checked out each other's stuff online, and finally got him out here for a podcast. I've been wanting to get you on, man, because I noticed through conversation there we related on a lot of topics, and I was like, dude, I want to hear Cory's story and dive a little bit deeper. So
Thanks, man.
yeah, man. So feel free to introduce yourself. Basically just tell us who you are and what you do, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sweet. My name's Cory Robinson. I'm a MMA coach, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor. I teach everything MMA related, so wrestling, judo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai. Those are my main focuses or expertise. Life obsession, if you ask my wife. So morning to night, 7 days a week since 2002. Gift and a curse, can't help. I mean, I love it. It's not really a curse, but it's morning to night since 2002. I own Phoenix MMA and Fitness. So we're located now in Mount Juliet. When you trained with us before, we were in Hermitage. During the 2020 crazy stuff, we decided to move to Mount Juliet. So we that was the long-term plan. We originally wanted to open in Hermitage, build up our student base, and then move to Mount Juliet. That was actually the long-term strategy all along from day one. We're located in Mount Juliet. We're right on the main road. We are the premier Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or grappling school in Mount Juliet. Respect to Mount Juliet, but I would say even above that, we are the premier Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school in the state of Tennessee, and that's not my opinion. I can base it up with facts. We're currently, there are several very good gyms. We compete against them all the time. We win all the time. We try to compete against them, and two of the largest gyms in the state, respect to them, they're very, very good, but they've declined us twice in the last year. So I don't throw shade towards them. I take it as a sign of respect where, it happens with matchmakers or coaches where you'll get offered an opponent. And both of these gyms actually accepted, and then did a little research, and then it was both hometown events, and they said, hey, what the promoter said was, hey, we need to switch up the lineup, so you're going to go against somebody else from out of town. So again, no disrespect, no shade or anything, but I will do it. To be fair, I'll do the same thing if I have a fighter that's scheduled to fight, and it's their debut, and they're going against somebody, and there is a huge skill gap, I'll decline the matchup, as I'm trying to build my students and gradually increase the difficulty. I'm not trying to set them up for a failure. But I'm the head MMA coach and head Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach at Phoenix Mount Juliet. It's my whole life. Everything. And I'm the owner too, so 7 days a week, dealing with all the fires, whether it's scheduling or billing. Everybody from our students that are getting ready, our competitors in 2 weeks got the World Championship. So coming up with a program that's going to stimulate and create growth for them. And then all the way to scheduling somebody that it's their first day. They have no idea what jiu-jitsu is. Maybe they're 100 pounds overweight and they're terrified of fighting. So I have to balance those two. Like a brand new person, how do I schedule them and get them in on the program, and then the high level. So I like difficult problems to solve. If not, my mind constantly runs. So if I don't have a difficult thing to do, then I just self-destruction. I mean, it'll be like video games too much or whatever type thing. I've never been like a big alcohol guy, but video games are my dangerous vice. So I just might as well put my brain to use. It's going to run 24/7. So put it on a difficult project, and that's when I'm the happiest, honestly. So.
That's it, guys. Thanks
There
for
you go.
coming.
We'll see you guys next time. It was a good one.
No, dude, I love it, man. No, that was very well said. I mean, and hell yeah, I love the flex. Like, you're no disrespect, you're just being straight up. I mean, you can back it up. You do got some killers out of there, man. I mean, I watch all stuff all the time. It seems like y'all are really, I mean, a lot of dudes from there making moves, man. Yeah. And I know how the matchmaking and stuff can be, even with the bare knuckle stuff. It's like, it's always, I mean, it's a little more sketchy there, but that being said, it can just be a pain in the ass, and someone gets a glimpse or checks out this guy and they're like, next thing you know, you show up to fight somebody and they don't show up. Yep. Because they did their research, and it's like,
happens a lot.
If you're going to agree to it, just roll with it. You know what I'm saying? So, and I can imagine it does happen a lot. And we can get more into that because, I'm just thinking of examples with even Brett with BKFC and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
Well, matchmaking is just an issue just in like those sports in general.
Oh yeah. It's politics. And then, people don't want to throw themselves into something they don't want to,
Somebody's Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of guys, and it doesn't happen. Actually, it happens all the time if you were to scale it across the country, but not every event. But it's pretty frequent that guys will show up for the weigh-ins. They weigh in and they look at their opponent and they don't show up. I did one MMA promotion when I was 24, and that was one of the biggest headaches that I had, especially being young, running a promotion. But guys showed up to the weigh-ins. I paid for their hotel. I paid for their gas to travel, and they showed up to the weigh-ins. They looked at their opponent, and they were like, "Hey, I'm not feeling like I'm so tough anymore." And they just don't show up the day of the fight. So they did the weigh-ins, they do the whole pose down and everything, and then I'm texting them an hour before the event. Hey, where are you? No response.
Oh man, it's terrible. Cowardice, dude.
Well, I know, terrible.
Yeah. And the worst thing is like the worst thing that could happen is say if you get armbarred, you get submitted, whatever, you tap. If you get choked, same thing, you just tap. Worse, if you go to sleep, it's not painful. If you get knocked out, there is lingering pain after it, but
you're going to bounce back from all of it.
It's not, exactly. It's not the end of the world. Everybody has lost, whether it's a submission, a TKO, knockout, or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's a referee there too, so it's not the end of the world. Yeah. There's no reason. It's mostly mental. Yeah. People build it up, and then the second the fight's done or the tournament's done, I'll talk to some of my students, especially the new ones, and when I get done, I'm like, "It was funny that you built it up so much, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, it was stupid."
Yeah, but that's the game, man. And at the end of the day, like, what do you have to lose from testing yourself and face somebody? But at least do it with honor, and backing out is dishonorable.
Exactly. Yeah. 99% of the population will never do it. They'll never step on the mats, even into a gym. And then even a smaller percentage will do a jiu-jitsu tournament, a local tournament. Even all the tough guys that act like they're super tough, they won't do it. And then even smaller percentage will step in, even as an amateur in MMA. And again, if you go in there and you lose, you're already ahead of 99% of the average population. Mm-hmm. And even if you were to lose with honor, lose with dignity, lose with respect, have them have to beat you. Because ultimately, the way that I think about MMA or jiu-jitsu is if it's 2 a.m. and somebody kicks my front door in, my wife and daughter are relying on me to fight to the death. Like there is no, if I get choked or I get knocked out, whatever, I get knocked out, but there is no like I can shaky hands and just back out. There's been plenty of fights and tournaments that I've had super high anxiety and negative thoughts and fear, but it's one of my favorite movies, the 13th Warrior. Like one of my favorite quotes in that movie is, "Luck will often save a man if his courage holds." So I like that one when you're really, really nervous, and then I combine that with what I tell my students is luck will often or skill will often save a man when his courage holds. I've had students. I had one of my fighters who was maybe about a year ago, and in the locker room, he almost quit. He told me after the fight. He won the fight, but he told me, he said, in the locker room, I was going to tell you, I'm out, I retire, I'm going to walk away in shame. Walking out to the cage, he was terrified. He almost told his training partners as he was warming up, and I could tell something was like up with him. He was not his normal self. He goes out and he dominates the guy. And the thing that makes me really proud is the first round he gets flash KO'd, and he survives. And then round 2 and round 3 he goes to dominate, and almost finishes the guy. But the guy can hardly walk. He had landed so many leg kicks. And then after that, I was like, dude, he told me, he's like, I almost quit in the back multiple times. Even walking out, I almost quit. And then what made me really proud was round 1. He got flash KO'd. Lots of guys, what they do when they get a flash KO, they curl up, and that's their way out. Which, no disrespect to it, it happens if you get flash KO'd or whatever. You just get overwhelmed. But he survived that first round from the flash KO, and then once he got to that point, I told him in between rounds, like, that's the worst thing that can happen to you. You just felt the worst that guy has. Yeah. And then round 2, round 3, he came at him, and he dominated the guy. And it was a huge lesson for him, growth, which you can really only learn those lessons by doing it yourself, like getting to a point where I'm going to give up. And you just refuse to give up, then you break through that. Now that's like a boon that you have for the rest of your life. You can always go back to it. Mentally, you can remember it. But it helped for all the students and his training partners because now he can talk to him and be like, dude, there's going to be a point where you are terrified. Just ignore it. Again, the luck will often save a man if his courage holds, but skill will often save a man if his courage holds. Even if you're scared, just keep on going, and your training and your combination, your instincts, your training, what you've done for the last few years is going to come out once the
without a doubt, yeah. I once got back from one of the bare knuckle things, and I had a fight, and this guy was like, "Oh, I couldn't do that. I'd see red." So this excludes all the guys that will see red, because we know if you see red, you're
Body's
automatically a killer.
Body's
So.
dropping.
Y'all don't have to get in the ring. Y'all are too dangerous for the ring and
too
everybody
dangerous.
around you.
Please save us.
So watch out
Please
for those
save
guys. Now, I want to get more into this, but first we got to take it back a little bit. So, Cory, we want the guests to get to know, or not the guests, the audience to get to know you a little bit. Take us back, man. Where are you from? Tell us about your upbringing a little bit, things that influenced you to where you're at today. I do know at one point you lived in Brazil a little bit. Yeah, so, just share your journey.
Okay, cool. So I'll start young, and like all of the people I look up to or my favorite people in the world, a lot of my motivation was fueled by trauma at a young age. So I won't go too deep on or anything, but it's it's good for you. It gives you like a life purpose, some type of motivation. Born in Franklin, Tennessee. When I was born in Franklin, Franklin was not what it is now. So it's one of the wealthiest counties, Williamson County in Tennessee, or in the nation. It's a really, really nice area. Franklin is amazing. It was just more rural, more country when I was born there. So born in Franklin, Tennessee, grew up like Antioch area, Nashville. I floated basically in my life from Franklin, really young, then Antioch area, and then College Grove. So that's outside of Franklin, like country. So
okay.
Grew up. It's not inner city or anything. We got bused to the inner city schools and stuff. But grew up in Antioch, young age, and then about middle school went to the College Grove area, so the country. So we got a nice little mix of. I feel like I can relate to people that grow up in the city and people that grow up in the country, and I can talk to both because I've lived in both lives, and I've seen pros and cons to both, and I've seen a lot of crossover in both. But my father was a carpenter. He's a project manager now that he's gotten older. But my dad was awesome. My mom's a natural creative. She's a singer. She's just very, very creative. She's like a hippie and like Sarah Connor for Terminator 2, like mixed together, always knives and guns and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my lineage of parents.
You pretty close to them?
Yeah, very close. Yeah, nice. I talk to them every week. Yeah, I love my dad, love my mom. They were awesome both in their own way. But unfortunately, at a pretty young age, my parents got divorced. So that was no fun, just having the divorce stuff. And we stayed with our mother, so that put us into pretty just being a single mom. I have 2 other brothers and a sister. But at the time, it was me and my 2 brothers. So single mom, 3 boys. In the house, so it was pretty difficult financially. Never had like the nicest clothes or nicest shoes or all that good stuff, which I'm not complaining about that.
Doesn't matter, yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You don't need to be spoiled. The more difficult, I guess the trauma stuff was more physical stuff. I didn't have a huge amount of bullying when I was growing up. Of course, people pick, and being like, one of the poor kids in class. Like it was being one of the poor kids, elementary, middle school is not fun or anything. But no, I didn't have so much physical bullying type thing, but it was more of what I experienced with my mother after my parents got divorced. My mom went through a series of knucklehead stepfathers or guys and stuff. So had that good stuff. At one point, had a stepfather that like took us hostage. It's pretty cool. Took us hostage.
Jesus, dude, it's
pretty cool.
Took you hostage, yes, like threw you in the car and drove off, or what?
He took us hostage in the house, so he wouldn't allow us to go to school. And then somehow I was allowed to go to school. And I remember my mom, my lunchbox. So my mom wrote a little note, and she was like, she told me when I went to the bus stop, because we would. The bus stop was a couple streets over, and she was like, hey, check your lunchbox. I thought maybe there was like a Rice Krispie treat, or sometimes she'd put like a little X-Men card in there or something. And it was a note like, hey, Big Kevin has taken us hostage, call 911. And I remember like
Good
at
God.
the bus. Yeah, dude. And this is, I think this is like 5th grade, 6th grade. So good stuff. So I can remember, I still have that memory very strong. But I read the note, and then I went into my friend. The bus stop was right in front of his house. Asked his mom, "Hey, can I use your phone?" And I remember I was embarrassed of our family being taken hostage. So I took the phone, and it was a corded landline. I like ran into the bathroom, and the bus was coming, and I was like on the phone with 911 in like 5th grade, and I was trying to explain to him like, "Hey, this is our address. What's going on?" I was trying to be quiet because I didn't want my friend's parents to hear me, because I was like ashamed or embarrassed of what was going through.
It's probably been good if they heard.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, probably would have been good to help out, but for whatever reason I felt ashamed. I had that landline like in the bathroom and like shut or whatever. I was like on the side of the wall of the door, like trying to explain this, and I was like, hey, you have to, when you go there, you have to. He went through a series of doing this. So I was like, when you get there, I need make sure you don't have your sirens on, because what he would do, my mom had called the police multiple times. If they would come running like lights and sirens, he would hear it and he would just dip out and run into the woods. And then, randomly at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., there would just be a kick at our back. He'd kick in our back door and then, repeat the cycle type thing. That one, so that, and there were several, I'm sure my memory has, my mind has like blocked some of it out and stuff, but I do have very strong, vivid memories of like my mom, like essentially laying down, him standing like a mounted position. You're down on your knees, but like a standing mount. Like you would see this scene in every UFC pay-per-view every weekend.
Yeah.
But like standing over just where the referee stops, or was just blasting like TKO. That scene. And I was the oldest of 3 boys, and I already had like, when my parents got divorced, being the oldest son, I had like this natural protector, like, hey, I'm the man of the house. And my mom would even tell me that, like when I was riding, she would tell me like, you're riding shotgun, like you have a responsibility, like help me look out, like if a car's coming, and I would help with directions and stuff. But that was, my mom like taught me that at a pretty young age. So I already had like the all right, I'm man of the house. I'm in 6th grade, and it's starting to get to the puberty point too. So I'm like, hey, but I can remember vividly seeing that him just blasting my mom, and I remember contemplating. I was like, man, I look over and I see some knives, and I'm like, dude, if I grab a knife, I could stop him. Or that's what I thought in my head. But then I recalculated, and I was like, man, he's pretty big. He's way, way bigger than me, way bigger than my mom. And I was like, man, if I grab a knife and I stab him and he doesn't go down, he's going to take the knife. He's in such a rage. He'll probably kill my mom, probably kill me and my brother. So that was one of my earliest memories of wanting to do something and not being able to, being helpless, or again, I wanted to, but I'm looking there, I'm just, whatever, 6th grade, I'm puny, I'm weak, I'm looking at him like, dude, this is wrong. I should do something. I shouldn't stand by and just watch this. So then when I found wrestling, I was like, dude,
I think that's important. Well, yeah, because it applies to that. Like, if you're wrestling, you can't just take off towards somebody. Like, you have to calculate your moves ahead of time. I mean, same thing with jiu-jitsu. So it seems like you caught that from an early age, like being able to think through the process. Like, wait, if I go this way, obviously now much quicker, you're able to make these decisions. But I mean, it benefits you now. Yeah,
even at a young age, it's still. And again, life or death situation, you still can have 1,000 thoughts in a single moment. It feels like. At that time, I was my identity was football. My dad got me into football when I was 5, and my dad's awesome. He had me drinking protein shakes when I was 5. He wasn't forcing me to. I was like, I want to get better, and he was like, well, I think protein shakes will do it. So
some creatine in there.
That's it, dude. Yeah, those protein shakes were nasty, but I was 5 years old drinking protein shakes. And again, my dad's awesome because he didn't force it. I just wanted to get better. It's like I want to run faster, I want to be stronger, and he didn't have a big exercise science background or anything. He's just like, oh, okay, we'll get you some protein. So I had football was where I really got my self-worth from, just being good at football. But the difference was when that happened, I had another scenario with around the same time. The school I went to, that was middle school, was a pretty hood, ratchet school. And one of my good friends that actually played Pee Wee football with me and middle school football with me. There was poor guy. I'm sure he remembers this, but every Friday there was 2 guys that would beat him up every Friday for 8 weeks straight. And again, that was another scenario around the same time as my mom and this stepdad situation where I would see it. We would walk home, and as we walk home, once they would get outside of the school thing, everybody would circle up, watch it. These 2 guys would just do a public, not an execution, but they would just beat him down. But it was every single Friday. And I remember standing there, and I was like, dude, you should do something. Something's wrong that you're not stepping in and do something. But I was small, I was weak, I didn't know how to fight. So then, when I found wrestling,
probably ate you up too,
dude.
I was about to just ask that. I find a lot of relating points on even with your mom and stuff like that. Even actually, it's funny that you said the knife. I was thinking about a story that I've told before about wishing actually that I would see it. I knew it was going on, but I wish that I would see it so that I would have a reason to do that. So I relate on a lot of those points. But one of the things that I think you probably relate to, and I'm just curious to kind of dive in to your mind with right then in that kind of time period. But obviously you're a very calm and stoic person now, but what was the anger like from those situations?
So there was a lot of fear, a lot of anger, a lot of anxiety. Man, at that age, it's hard to process or remember. It's definitely makes part of your personality hypervigilance. So at a very young age, hypervigilance, checking corners. It was not I guess it was trained from the environment, but just random, again, at 2 a.m., 1 a.m., just the back door gets kicked through, and they're like, oh, man, he's back. And then now it's you're going through this process again. For some reason, I don't know why. It was maybe it was the movies I really liked, Braveheart and stuff. For some reason, even at a young age, I was mad. I was mad at him. I was mad at my friend that was getting beat up every single Friday. I was mad at the guys that were doing it. Because I thought they were just terrible people. It's like, to me, if you're a good person, you're a strong person, and you don't pick or be a predator on people that are weaker or older or more feeble, et cetera. Like, to me, that's a sign of a weak man or a weak person, because that's the only targets that they can beat. The thing I love about sport and competition is, you could challenge somebody at a tournament or a fight, and you're challenging somebody who is also training all the time. They're prepared for it. It's not somebody who's
it's a fair fight.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a fair fight. You agree to it. It's like, hey, we're going to fight. Cool, we'll do it. But yeah, I had this this extreme like self-guilt or anger at myself for both of those scenarios at that 6th, 7th grade age for not doing something. I probably couldn't explain it to you then. I just felt like something terrible was happening, and I was being an observer. I also was mad at myself for being a coward at 6th or 7th grade. Again, this is like a child versus like a 30-year-old man or 35-year-old man. But I was mad at myself for watching something bad happen and not stepping in. I was mad at those people, but I was probably even more mad at myself, honestly, when it comes to anger.
But then you found wrestling.
Yeah, dude.
And that was your new channel.
Dude, when I found wrestling, everything clicked. It was like the key went in, and I still really enjoyed football, but wrestling. The keys lined up perfect. And when I first started wrestling, I was not good. I was terrible. I had high energy, high work ethic. But all of the teenage angst and rage and frustration or all that stuff, when I would go to wrestling practice, once I was done, I guess it's what people say when they go to yoga or something. I felt perfectly zen. I was like, this is great. And then I still remember the first actual real wrestling technique that I learned. It was called a switch. And when I learned it, I was like, dude, this is sick. This is leverage. This is technique. This is not guesswork. This is not random. This is like a science, and it's a way that I can manipulate my opponent's arm or shoulder. And it's like, if they don't move, they hyperextend their elbow and they jack up their elbow. But what people do is they move. So it taught me how to move another human's body that was resisting. And so learning actual technique, and I was like, dude, this is what I need. This is the tool I need to master. And then the other side of it is just at that age, like I would listen to Tool in my bedroom all the time. I'd listen to Perfect Circle. I'd listen to like Limp Bizkit, and I would get frustrated. I would headbutt when I got frustrated, I would headbutt doors and stuff. Just at that age, I just didn't know what else to do, how to express it. So wrestling, the fact that I wasn't good, especially my first season, I got ironed out. Like my partners, my main training partners were actually really good. So the first season, I got literally like clothing. I got ironed on the mat, ironed on the floor,
completely flat,
dude, destroyed. And like for 3 hours, Monday through Friday, I got destroyed, and it completely just ironed out my ego, made my body sore head to toe. But it felt amazing.
You learned how to appreciate that. Yeah.
It didn't make me run away. In our wrestling practice, we'd warm up with a 4.7 mile run and then a 2-hour wrestling practice after that. Yeah. And the tryouts on the first week of tryouts, Monday, we would have 50 or 60 people try out. Tuesday, there'd be 30. By Friday, there'd be like 15 people left. And I was like, oh, sweet, cool. All I got to do is just not give up and just keep going. I was like, I can do that. Like, yeah, this is not giving up is not only easy, it's actually fun. Like it's weird. Like the physical pain actually is kind of pleasurable. It's
counterintuitive. Yeah.
And that applies to everything in life, like every pursuit, right? It's like, I tell myself that all the time with the business, like, it's like, how the fuck we gonna keep rolling, but you don't give up. But I also love that, It's like, it sucks. Like you kind of suffer through it, but at the same time, it's so worth it at the same time. That's just a totally different way. But I think just applying that mindset to everything you're pursuing in life. This episode is brought to you by Desert Rose Arts. My friend Danny, she makes excellent rune mala pieces with 108 beads on them. They're all custom with the Elder Futhark runes burned twice into each bead. Each mala is themed, so there's different colors based off the seasons or whatever, the intention is geared towards. She puts a lot of energy in these pieces. It helps you connect with the gods, your ancestral power, all the things of that nature, and most of all the runes. Check it out at Desert Rose Arts on Instagram. You can also use our code RP15 for a 15% discount on these malas. Thank you.
If you want to check out anything that is related to me or the gym, easiest way is you could Google Phoenix MMA and fitness, or Instagram, Facebook. We're Phoenix Mount Juliet on those. Website's phoenixmountjuliet.com. If you're interested in MMA, self-defense, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, judo, boxing, Muay Thai, or if you don't know what those words are, what they mean, if you want to know how to fight or be prepared to protect yourself or your family, and you live in the Nashville area, Mount Juliet area, Lebanon area, we have people from Murfreesboro, give us a call and we'll get you in. Or if you say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you want to become a world champion, give us a call. We already have one world champion this year. We're going to have 2 more in 2 weeks.
Nice. Is that Hunter?
Yeah. Hunter won, a few months ago, won his first world title. And then we have Hunter is me, Hunter, and Jackson. Jackson's our young buck. That kid's a freak. But Hunter and Jackson both, it won't be a surprise if they win a world title in December 7th through 9th. So
absolutely killer. Hell yeah. I remember sending him a video one time, and it was like, I sat here and tried to do this ad read in the office by myself. It was like 5 p.m. I'd started my day at 4, and I was just like exhausted. And I was like, I got to record this ad read for the episode. And dude, it was probably a compilation of like 15 things of me being like, fuck. And I'm like, one more time, Logan. I'm like yelling at the camera. I'm just mad as shit, dude. I'm so frustrated. And it just was so tough for me to do.
I've seen one of your clips, though. It was good. It was actually fun to see the mess ups, the outtakes and stuff.
I think
honestly,
so.
Everybody says,
people appreciate that because it's relatable, man. I mean, no one's going to hit it perfect unless you're freaking one of those, professional.
You're a robot, dude. But also,
I'm
you're not
no robot.
relatable, and everybody's gonna be like, I don't trust this guy. Everything's too polished. Everything's too perfect. Like something's up.
And that's the thing with the ads. Like if you were doing like a Reebok ad or something, like everybody would know. Like, listen, you may like Reebok, but like this isn't the same thing as doing like a small business where you're just like, listen, Danny's awesome. Yeah. Talked to her the other day. She puts a lot. You know what I mean? It's different. But anyway, where were we at with Cory? Because I talked to him on the break a little bit, and he got me on another line of thinking.
Well, I did want to point out something. You were talking about get into wrestling and you really want to learn how to move people's resistance and like know where they're going and all this stuff and like learn the technique. And I remember, how much do you weigh, Cory?
Right now I'm about 165, 160. Well, yeah.
And I'm like, I walked in his gym weighing 220, 230. That's where I stay around. And, of course, when you have like some size to you, it's in your mind.
Just say it.
When you're
of course, yeah.
You're like,
just say it.
You carry yourself a certain way. You're like, I'm stout, And then so I remember, but there is a weight difference regardless. And, obviously he's a black belt and I'm, this white belt in there. And I started rolling with Cory one day and I was just getting so frustrated because he was on top of me. And it's like everywhere I try to go or everything I try to do, he knew exactly what to fucking do to combat that. And I was just like, ugh. And after the round, I was like, how? He was like, man, I can feel your hips. As soon as your hips move, I know where you're going. I know exactly where to be. And I was just like, damn, such a small like detail that you just can feel that and know where I'm going before I even can actually make the move. Just my hips move a little bit. And he's like, boom. And I just really appreciated that. And I was like, damn, like, a lot of people can, there's nothing wrong with being a big dude. If you know a lot of technique and stuff like that, whatever you're doing, like that's a plus, right? Look at Gordon Ryan, so
dude's a monster.
But at the end of the day, that's only an add-on after the technique and all that skill is learned. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate that. And I was like, damn, okay, that was humbling. I rolled with a few people there that humbled the shit out of me, but it's good to do that, man. It's good for your ego and it helps you really like understand like, damn, there's a lot to this.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that, man. But I'll never forget that because I've had several conversations with individuals about you from different gyms. And I had Nick on here, Nick Brett on here. He trains under Sean Hammonds, and we talked about you. But several people, and I'm like, dude, I'll never forget him just like owning me, man. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, I don't want to take it down this route too much, but have you heard the Bradley Martin thing?
Oh yeah, the 260, right? Yeah.
So we talked about that we were talking about that last time with Nick a little bit, and it's just
I'll bare knuckle
it's
him.
funny.
Dude, it would be awesome.
I would love to bare knuckle Bradley.
It's a very smart marketing strategy from him
100%. That's all he's doing. He's got to know. He's not that dumb.
Yeah, it's smart. He's tapping into the algorithm, the shock factor, and it
Of course.
it's smart. He's doing his thing. But he's my favorite type of guy to train with. Like that's my favorite. Now you might meet him in person where he's like, hey man, like it's whatever. It's smart. He'd be down to earth or whatever. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys are my favorite to go with. Because if a 260 pounder comes in, I started training when I was 16, and those are the guys I wanted to go with. Like, cause it's like, dude, even if he beats me when I was 16, I'd get beat by all those heavyweights and stuff. But it's like, even if he beats me now, I know what it feels like. And then once I get to where I can beat that guy, it was like a personal challenge. That guy walks in, you're like, oh, that's the you said Mohawk Brothers. Have you ever? I don't know if this legend is real or not, but have you ever heard the coolest one I like, whether it's real or fake, was that the warrior class would adopt Mohawks because it would make their scalps more valuable. So it was a way to the other tribes to
incentivize them
to come after you instead of the women and children. And I'm like, dude, that I like it, whether it's real or not.
I'm gonna believe it.
Dude.
I'm believing it. I'm gonna go look into it. I'm like, dude, I heard from Cory. This is a fact.
I'm taking it, dude.
Valuable shit
it's
up
a
there.
cool legend. And it's like, that's the big guy comes in, you're like, oh, dude, that's the guy that I want to strangle or want to subdue. Like that's the ultimate. I'm sure like hunters are like this when they get good at hunting at a certain level, and then they want to go into bigger game and stuff, a higher challenge. But it's not even like it's not even like a rude or a mean thing or anything. It's just like, I want a big challenge. And again, if you get beat, it's just the gym or whatever. But yeah, and I'm sure from, if you're over 230 or something like that, and somebody's 160 pounds, just the thing is human nature, like, truth of just without technology, 230 pounder versus 160 pounder wins 10 out of 10 times. What changes is technology, and basically jiu-jitsu, wrestling, MMA, everything is just technology. It's the same way that
Never heard of that.
Yeah, it's just technology, and lots of it, why it's difficult to learn is because a lot of it is counterintuitive. So when you're on top, if you're on top of somebody in their guard, it's very natural to grab the back of their head or skull and pull on it, because if they don't know what to do, you might pop their neck, or you just hold them and you just punch them. Now, jiu-jitsu is the technology of how to beat human nature, or like what people are going to do the majority of the time. So if the person is good at an arm bar and you get on top of them and you grab their head and pull, you're basically putting yourself in an arm bar position. So it's just technology, and the same way that, like, again, in nature, 230 versus 160. 230 wins 10 out of 10 times. Once that 160, creates a blade, now that 160 can kill the 230. If the 230 then creates a bow, you can shoot them from there, and then they create a crossbow, and then firearms. And then being on foot versus shooting a bow from horseback. So it's just technology. It's like an arms race technology, and it's
and you can see where like that benefits. Say that the heavier person's more skilled, and the smaller person's the 130 guy or whatever is an amateur. I mean, regardless, going against that larger, more technical person is going to benefit them even more so. I'll never forget, like, rolling at your spot, and I rolled with a female. And after, I was just like, she's a lot smaller than me, but she's going to benefit if I put it on her a little bit, and she actually thanked me after. She's like, thanks for not taking it easy on me. Like, I need to be worked. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's the right mindset to have, because you're only going to get better going against a much larger opponent. I mean, we're both new, but so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, as long as your training partner never injures you, say if you get an arm bar or something, like finish with control and focus, there's no problem. You don't want people going super soft with you, going super easy with you. Then that'll create your blade will get dull. You'll get like an entitlement thing, and you'll have a false sense of reality. But even if you're going against somebody 30, 50 pounds heavier, and you're going to have a difficult time, how that prepares and helps her is in her division, she's never going to go against somebody the same weight and strength as you. So it's like she's going with something much more difficult than she's going to encounter in competition. So
exactly,
if you're a white belt that's rolling with a black belt, even if that black belt taps you 5 times, when you go into a competition, when you feel another white belt, they're not going to be the same as a black belt. You don't necessarily, again, you want to balance it so there's not injury, but there's not injury, but at the same time, you don't want to just go super easy and let them do everything. You're not helping them by doing that. But,
oh yeah. I mean that's important.
Do you like chess?
I do like chess, but I'm not good at it. I don't. I just don't have time right now.
I bet you're better at it than you'd think. Just listening to you talk, I play a lot of chess. I'm thinking this man, I bet, is so good at chess.
I'm such an amateur. Really, it's just, it's time combined with, I know I have a very obsessive personality, and I hate to be bad at stuff. So I have to guard against certain things, because if I started chess, I would probably get angry when I suck at it. So then I would commit too many hours to it. And I'm holding off on golf until I can't do combat sports, because I've heard golf is very challenging, very addictive. So like I plan on golfing once I can't do combat sports. So, maybe at like 70 or 80. I'll start golf.
I might join you then.
70 or 80, I'll start golf. But until then,
I know I always think about golf, and like I have so many friends that know so many people that play it, but it's just like, I don't know. I feel like it's not the right season in my life for golf.
It's so difficult
one
to get
day.
good at it.
But right now it's just not that time. But I want to get back to your story. So I remember last year you were saying you got ironed out in the mats.
Yeah.
And then you progress from there. So
just destroyed in the wrestling room. And something that helped me my first season, my freshman year was my first season wrestling. I had sports background from age 5, but the athleticism didn't cross over. It did cross over. It did help, but it didn't cross over directly. And I had the benefit of my 2 main training partners. The weight class below me was the coach's son. He went on to be a 3-time state champion and second place his freshman year. Very difficult as a freshman because you're not fully developed. So very, very good. And was the coach's son. He was very, very good at that time. And then the weight class right above me was also a very good wrestler with maybe 7 years experience. And the coach's son maybe had 8 years versus my first. So my main 2 partners, I think, I don't know if I scored. I could count on one hand the first season in the practice room the amount of points I scored. So like nothing, maybe they were tired one day and they lost their balance and I got a takedown or something. But the first season I got dominated, and I was lucky. Again, the only other guy in my weight class for wrestling, you have wrestle-offs. We would have them every Friday, so you could challenge somebody in your weight class. So you have to earn your position every single week for the team I was on. And the only other guy, or the only other kid in my weight class, it was his first season also. So all I had to do to make varsity my first year wrestling was just be better than the other guy. So I just outworked him. And I made varsity. So I was like, oh, this is sweet. I'm a freshman. I can like brag and walk around like I'm not JV. I'm something. And then once the wrestling season happened, I realized, so I was going against people. It was my first year of wrestling. Most of them had anywhere from 6 to 8 years of experience. And they were mostly juniors and seniors. And they had been, I just started lifting weights. So they had 4 years of muscular development and gone fully through puberty, et cetera. So my first season, I think I went maybe like 2-30, 2-25. And out of those 2 wins, I think one of them was a forfeit. So I just got to walk out and get my hand raised. Yeah. So the other lesson I got with that was my first season, I just got dominated in the practice room. I lost 99% of my matches my first season, but I did it just because I loved it, and I was getting better. I would wrestle when I'd wrestle with the football players in the weight room and stuff. I could hold my own. I could dominate them, and they were a good bit bigger. And I was like, okay, so it's not just that I suck. It's just I suck compared to these really good people.
Yeah.
So I learned it was an important lesson freshman year that you don't expect to be good at anything when you first start. You're just going to suck. You're going to suck a whole bunch. And then that ratio starts balancing out. My junior year, senior year, I won the majority of my matches. And so I got to feel that slow progression. First year sucked. Second year sucked. Third year, starting to get pretty good. Fourth year, really good, actually.
Yeah.
And, so then when I got into jiu-jitsu, I just adapted it to the exact same thing. When I got into boxing, the exact same thing. Muay Thai, the exact same thing. So it gave me a good mindset that just whatever I start, and I still do it now. Whatever I start doing, I just know I'm going to suck for a certain period of time. Just don't get disgruntled or frustrated or discouraged. Just focus, persist. And then suddenly, the majority of people, the other secret too, is majority of people just quit. Like 99% of people just quit, whether it's business or jiu-jitsu or wrestling or whatever. And it's like, if you can be the 1% that doesn't quit. Yeah, if you just don't quit.
It's the key.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time, yeah.
Yeah, which to me, it's just in line with humans, like our natural state. Because if it was caveman days, like there is no quit. It's just every morning you have to wake up and hunt and get wood. Like, so there is no quit. So we can just quit now because we have central heat and air and grocery stores and stuff. So we can quit and run into video games. But yeah, then my sophomore year, into my sophomore year, I found jiu-jitsu. I started training with Sean Hammonds. He was my first jiu-jitsu coach. And I fell in love with jiu-jitsu right away because it was basically jiu-jitsu was wrestling except better. It was the same thing. You get the physical competition aspect, the controlling another human being. Some people call jiu-jitsu like involuntary yoga, controlling another person. And then, but the difference was you got to finish. So you got a way to break somebody's limb, a way to tear somebody's ACL, or the ultimate strangle them, choke them unconscious. So I was like, this is just like wrestling, except it's better. It's got a finish point. And then I did the exact same thing with wrestling that I did with jiu-jitsu. I actually would go to wrestling practice, eat a snack, drive like an hour away, then go to jiu-jitsu practice. And I would basically stay there until they closed the gym. And that was like my high school life and stuff.
Nice. Are you still doing football too?
No, I stopped.
Okay.
Once I found
Jesus.
once I found wrestling, that's when jiu-jitsu
fell in love.
Yeah, exactly. Fell in love and wrestling, and then jiu-jitsu just went from there. And but like I think my junior senior year, I didn't go to a single football game. I went to prom my senior year, but it was just I was working also. Like I didn't have like an allowance or anything, so my gas, my car, cell phone, all that stuff I had to pay myself. Once I was 16, it was like, hey, get a job. So I would work all weekend and then just train all throughout the week. So when when people say, hey, when you open up a business, you're gonna have to work 7 days a week, I'm like, yeah, duh. Like, been doing this since I was 16. Like, Monday through Friday, go to school, and then go train until you're exhausted at night, go to sleep, and then the weekends, work all weekend. Like,
so just apply that to your life now.
Yeah, dude. And again, I think it's humans' natural state. Like caveman times, there is no like Saturday, I'm just gonna sleep all day. It's like you have to make a fire, dude. It's raining, it's cold. A family they're hungry, and the meat that you have without refrigeration is gonna go bad. Like,
well, and I talked about that. Exactly. I talked about John that owns all the gyms and stuff, and he's at a point in his life where he can just do things as he pleases, right? And you've got to put in the work in order to get there. If that's what you desire, right? I don't know when I'll ever slow down, which is fine for me. But say like tomorrow's my birthday. Well, if I got shit to do, if I got podcasts to be recorded, and this is the only, I'm not gonna, I'll have some good dinner or something like that. But it's not that important. Like my birthday, it's another day. It's another year around the world. But at the same time, it's not the most important thing. Like I got other things to pursue that are. Yeah, I don't know, man. It goes back to that no balance, no sleep thing that Rob Bailey said, man. There's got to be that time where you're just putting in maximum effort. And you're going to be a little bit smoked at times. You re-gear and you just keep freaking rolling, So that's, it's relatable right there. But
so can I just ask unless you had somewhere you wanted to go with it?
No, well, yeah, I was going to continue with him, but
Is your birthday actually tomorrow? Okay.
it's in April.
Okay, I was saying, there we go. Cool. I was going to say happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
So I was just going to ask you, like, kind of going back to the story aspect of it too. Like, so you're discovering wrestling, discovering jiu-jitsu, getting better. Junior, senior year, you said was a lot better with wrestling. I'm assuming same way with jiu-jitsu, et cetera. So how were all of those changes and like all those things that you were starting to learn and stuff? How was that impacting that situation that you were experiencing at home?
Oh, when I was young. So this is, that guy was long gone by this time. I think he actually was in prison, and I don't think it was from the scenario with my mom. I think once they separated, I think he probably repeated his pattern, and it caught up to him at some point. By that time, I think he was in prison, and also a key point in my life with that shift over as well was we went from living with our mom, we moved and lived with our father. So my dad's a great guy. He's actually one of the best men that I know. Extremely hard worker, and I'm sure that he does complain sometimes. But when I was young, I didn't get to see it. At least now, I know Dad had stressful days because he would come home and he would it's like just don't talk to him, and he would put on Tool, and it would be really loud. And he would in his living room, and he had like a really nice sound system. And it's like, hey, just let him listen to Tool for like 30 minutes, and it'll be good. But the hot water heater burst at 1 a.m. He's like fixing it, and he's got to go to work. He's got to be up early in the morning and stuff. But my dad taught me work ethic, not through speech or yelling at me or like, Cory, you need to be doing this. You need to be doing this, just by example. He didn't have to tell me at all. I just observed. And I was like, and I remember when I was, especially as a teenager, as a teenager, you're just pretty lazy, or your work ethic levels like pretty low. I remember looking at my dad, all the stuff he's doing. I was like, dang, dude, I could never imagine having that level of work ethic. And then dad mode helps a lot. So having my daughter, then it activated, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah. It's on, dude.
It turns it up a lot, dude.
Yeah. It like throws like just so much wood in your furnace, and you're like, yeah. So you're not living for yourself anymore. So it's easier. It's actually easier to stay driven with a child. But
110%, man, because you look at them, like I'll look at my daughter sometimes, and I'm just like, I'm going to give you everything you need. I'll just have these little conversations. Like I think it's really important just to have those moments, man, because it will fire you up. And if you don't get fired up because of that, I mean, I don't know what you got going on with you, because I think about that laziness as a teenager. I'm not going to lie. I moved around a lot, and I was talking this with somebody and how I've evolved as an adult, because I was naturally a good athlete and stuff like that, and I moved around a lot, and I was always trying to fit in where I moved because I kept getting picked on every time I moved and stuff like that. So I didn't really maybe observe as much as I should have. But now I can look back and be like, damn, like I've come a long freaking way, a totally different person. And, I didn't have that, what I do now early on. So I'm still I'm learning a lot as well.
Yeah, it's good. You got so much more growth to go, dude. It's exciting, dude.
But it's cool. It's cool to be able to recognize that, because God only knows if I was still like that. I mean, I wouldn't apply myself to anything, but just certain things in life trigger it.
Yeah.
So,
So coming out of high school.
Yeah. So coming out of high school, I knew my first season wrestling that I wanted wrestling, grappling. I knew that combat sports I wanted it to be part of my life. Then when I found jiu-jitsu, I was like, oh, this is just an extension, because for wrestling, you can wrestle in college and then the Olympics. But there wasn't a professional outlet at the time for wrestling. So when I found jiu-jitsu, and I was like, sweet, I could model, my instructor at the time, Sean Hammonds, I looked at him, and I got to see, I actually I shadowed him my senior year in high school for my senior project. I got to go follow him at work and got to see what's going on. And in my head, I was looking at him, I was like, hey, I want to do this. I'm testing it out. I'm shadowing to see if this would be a career I'd like to do. I shadowed him for a few days for that project and locked it in. Like, yep, this is what I'm going to do.
Nice.
I'm going to compete. I wanted to compete professionally, but I knew at that point, like, I'm going to open a gym. I want to become an instructor. I'm going to do this. I just have to find out how to be able to open up a gym, how to get from point A to point B. I didn't know how to, but just started. That was just my definite chief aim, and I just focused on that. I got really fortunate that the gym that I was training in, a gentleman named Bill Fay, he was. Bill, I think Bill was probably maybe 40 or 42 years old. He loved jiu-jitsu. He was a blue belt. He had just come back from the Master World Championships in Brazil, and he spoke to a American Brazilian dual citizenship. My jiu-jitsu coach now, Robert Drysdale. He's an ADCC absolute champion. That's what Gordon Ryan is the current champion of, and he was a multiple time black belt world champion. But my friend Bill spoke to him in Brazil. Told him he had a fighter house where he just trains athletes and fighters. You just go there, you live, you train 3 times a day. You had a maid that did our laundry and cooked 3 meals for us a day. So when he came back, Bill asked me, he said, "Hey, Cory, what are you doing with your life?" And I was like, I was going to Columbia State Community College. And I was like, I'm going there. He's like, "Why are you going there?" I was like, "Because if you don't, everybody says you're a loser if you don't go to college. So I should just go to college." I was just following like the herd. And he was like, "How about you move to Brazil?" And I was like, "Yeah, it'd be sweet." I was like, "But I don't have the money. I can't do it." And he loved jiu-jitsu, and he had been watching me, I think, for the previous 2 years. So he saw me as this young, broke kid showing up to practice, staying focused, staying until closing time. And then after about 2 years of observing me, the opportunity was there. He sponsored me to move to Brazil, and I lived in that was Robert Drysdale's fighter house. So I got to live there, train 3 times a day. Because he was the current ADCC absolute world champion, he was like the Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant active at the time. So I got to follow him, and I got to learn a lot about work ethic because he would train jiu-jitsu session in the morning. He was transitioning MMA, so he would do jiu-jitsu, then eat a snack, go do boxing practice, and then he would go back to college to finish his master's degree, I believe. And I remember thinking, like, dude, this is so difficult. Like, that's such a heavy workload. But it rubbed off on me. I got to see it and feel it. And so yeah, doing that being in Brazil helped me level up a lot. Just training, no distractions. I couldn't speak the language. I couldn't speak Portuguese at the time, and no cell phone. No computer or internet or anything like that. So no distractions. Just like Spartan lifestyle.
Jiu-jitsu all day, dude, every day.
It was sick. Wake up. And it was so lucky too. Like, wake up, somebody cooks you a meal, and everything in Brazil is basically organic. Like, going to McDonald's is like a luxury. And I was like, man, you guys are lucky. Like, everything that's like unhealthy in our culture, like McDonald's, is triple the price there. So you have to have money to go to McDonald's. And it's funny here. It's the opposite. It's like the cheapest, lowest quality food. But everything there was like organic, like real food that was cooked. So you wake up, you eat breakfast that was cooked for you. You go train, you come home, eat lunch. Then after lunch, you take maybe like a power nap. Then you go back and train again. And most of the time we would hang out at the gym in between sessions, and then we train again the 3rd time, and just over and over and over. And 6 days a week. We would take Sunday off, but 6 days a week. And that was a big boost for me to be around somebody that good and all the people he surrounded himself. And then that really hit my breakout year. My breakout year was 2009. I returned from Brazil.
How long were you out there?
I went 2 occasions, 2 separate years, combined close to a year with both breaks. I went 2 years consecutively, both in the fall winter time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that allowed me to train full time, and I could have done it home. I just needed to see it. At the time, Tennessee was not known for jiu-jitsu. We didn't have a world champion yet in Tennessee, so we didn't have a blueprint, or I didn't have anybody I could copy. So I could have done it in Tennessee. I just needed to see it. So once I saw it, got to feel it. When I came home, recreated it here, and then that was my breakout year. 2009, I won the Brazilian National Championships. It's very difficult to do it as an American, as a gringo. Then I won the European Open in Portugal. Silver medal at the New York Open, which was a large tournament. Silver medal at the Pan American Games, which is the 2nd largest tournament in the world, and then but out of the whole cycle, it was all focused for the World Championships, and that's when I won 2009 Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Championship, purple belt level. We still haven't had a Tennessean to win at black belt level, but I was the first Tennessean to win Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, not black belt, World Championship in the adult category.
Nice, man. Dude, it sounds like so. Obviously, going to Brazil was quite the benefit.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, that changed everything.
It's crazy to think about just like going away to a foreign land and then coming back and, with all your acquired knowledge and your experience. Like, I mean, it's just like, it really is like a warrior type. Warrior type it is, like the warrior path of like going and doing that and then coming back.
Yeah, it was very much like a movie. Yeah.
That's killer, man. And so, obviously, that's where you're at now. I know we're running short time, so we're trying to knock this out in like 10 minutes or so.
Okay, let me reset
you
the
gotta
cameras
go.
then.
You gotta go, coach people. Go ahead.
Let me reset the cameras.
Is there anything you want? Since we're short on time, do you want to touch on, being a family man and stuff like that, and the impact that's had on everything you do? I know you talked about your daughter earlier, but I know you're married. You got a little girl.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And obviously, I'm recently married. I have a little girl, so it's something I want to hear your perspective on that and how that's impacted. Oh, dude, it's the best thing in the world. Like I've said this before. I love my business. I love everything I do. But at the end of the day, all I got to do is look at them and know I made it. And that's such a, no matter how chaotic things get, that's the best reminder right there is them too. So I'm sure you can relate.
Oh yeah, dude. It's dad mode is awesome. I used to think dad mode would, you look at your friends that are older, like say 10, 15 years older, and when they have children, you're like, I wonder if I'll be able to do it or what I'll think about that. And I was like, where are you going to have the time and stuff? You make the time. For me, I made the time pretty easy. And honestly, it just made me become a better person. So I like to be a good husband and a good father. Like, there's not really time for video games. There's not really time for idle, just television. Like I will watch, me and my wife, like we're like, you could say we're movie snobs or TV snobs. So she's very busy. She's very hardworking as well. So we will watch TV or shows, but it's got to be like a good series. It's got to be something we're similar wavelength. Like if it's not mentally stimulating, then we're not going to waste 3 hours on it or an hour on it. So, it really just forced me to shed away a lot of wasteful things. And now me and my wife talk about it. We look back before our daughter and we're like, man, we wasted so much time just on stupid stuff.
Dude, I used to love getting on the Xbox. I bought the Series X when it came out, and I barely played it. And I'd get on it and I'd play like Skyrim for hours because I love just getting lost in Skyrim.
Yeah.
Then
that's a good day.
It's a good day, man. Just a nice few hours. But then I realized how much time I wasted there. And dude, we had, she had Aussie, and I think it was even shortly before. I was like, dude, I don't play this shit. So I sold it. I sold it like that. I was like, I don't need it. It's the time I do have, I want to spend with them too, and like obviously focus on more stimulating things. But
I think like I was a few weeks ago doing homework with my daughter, and it was like, dude, this is my daughter is going to be 4 in January, but doing homework with my daughter, little 3-year-old homework, like writing.
Wait, I was about to say she's going to be 4 in January. Yeah, and you're doing homework with her.
Oh, dude, if you were to talk to her mom, like her mom is like. Yeah, hardcore. Like our daughter's
homeschooling.
Like, we're not homeschooling. We're not homeschooling. We've thought about it, but my wife Stephanie, basically, it's as if she's homeschooling, but since like age 6 months or something, it's not military super hardcore. But like we say, is like our daughter will not be ignorant or like stupid, or we're not just it's like she's gonna be smart, capable, beautiful, skillful, all these things. Yes. And it's like that's our responsibility as parents and to guide her. So yeah, even when she doesn't have homework assigned, my wife is like working with her on stuff. But this one she goes to school 2 days a week now. It's nothing hardcore, but doing homework with her, just basic stuff, letters and stuff like that, gave me like such a big high, like big head high, just watching her doing it and she goes, Dad, I don't understand. I'm confused. And then I help her with it. Like it's
you see it click.
Dude, and it's one of the most pure, it's one of the purest types of happiness, like that I could describe, and just doing homework, just having her trace out her B's and then finding B's in it's really basic stuff, but to help her and then to see her do something well and then to be there for her when she needs help. She's like, Dad, I need help. It's like, dude, it's so much better than alcohol. It's a far better, cleaner buzz or high or whatever, like intrinsic from your soul and from the center of your chest. It's awesome.
Exactly, man. And you talked about like you were observing when you were younger, man. At the end of the day, we talked about this a bunch on the podcast, but kids are going to listen to what you say. They're going to replicate your actions, and I made a post about that, about looking in the mirror. A lot of parents want to sit there and blame the rest of the world on everything. And it's like, no, dude, you're the example. You have all the power there.
Yep.
Yeah, they can hear stuff at school, but if you're a strong example, they're going to follow your lead. That's just that's what it comes down to. So you're sitting back having a beer every night, they're going to watch that. And it's just the things that now either they'll follow suit or they'll be like, man, fuck alcohol. It can go either way. But same thing, if they see, you following your passion and doing what you do, they see their mother working hard and putting through these actions, they're going to follow through with that. And I listened to this guy, Elliot something, and I listened to his wife talking about how they raise their kids. And they're like, we can give you, she said, we give them a choice. We hold them a high standard, but okay, we can give you the ice cream or like treat you like every other kid, but you want to be exceptional, because if you want to be exceptional and you be held to a higher standard, you have the choice to not have the ice cream. You get what I'm saying? And she said all the time, their kids, she's like, hold me to a higher standard. And she's like, guess what? They don't like affection. They're loved. We're all best friends, but they make the choice to be better. So we push them to be better and we're harder on them. And I'm like, dude, that's a good lesson right there.
And doing things well is fun. Like being exceptional is fun. It's actually a fun thing to do. One of the worst feelings, you get super high anxiety, insecurity when you're not skilled or educated, or when you're not good at something. So it's like being, if you're going to paint, the most uncomfortable position is the beginning. But once you're a good painter or good at guitar, it's fun to do it. For me, jiu-jitsu is really fun to do it. And to me as a parent, I think of everybody starts at level 0 or level 1, like a video game. And maybe level 50, you're like pretty good. I have to help beginners with this all the time because they might be 25 or 30 years old and they've never done a sport before. So they're starting at level 1 at age 30. And I can help them with that. It's a difficult path because you have to go through that. But my goal and my wife's goal, we talk about this, our goal is with our daughter to get her, we're going to help her get to level 10 to level 15. And it's going to be guidance. We're not going to yell at her all the time, but guidance and through, again, activities, making it fun. But so that when she does go into a specific sport or study, she's already at level 15. She's not at level 0. If we just let her do whatever she wants, she'll just eat ice cream and she'll, just play on her tablet. And we'll do ice cream sometimes in tablet, but it just has to be a small, like maybe 10% of the time, like ice cream. But the rest, I mean, my daughter says to me, she's like, Dad, we need to eat healthy food. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's really cool. But you just make it a lifestyle. So it's not an abrupt change when they're 15 or 25 or 30. It's just, hey, this is how we live. Mom eats oatmeal, blueberries, and a protein shake for breakfast. And that's all I know. She doesn't yell at me or anything. It's just mom leads by example. So when I see all the other parents that, they're sitting on the sidelines smoking a cigarette and like eating McDonald's and they're not doing anything, but she's like, those people, they just kind of look up to, so they look like something else. It's like, that's not what we do. And it's like no judgment or anything. Everybody's on their own path. We're not going to be mean to you or anything, but it's, just we're going to try to just lead. They model you. They model you. The way that you talk, the way you carry yourself, your self-talk, whether you're trying to learn. Like my wife the other day, sitting in the bed, read like 200 pages in one sitting. And when I got home, my daughter was sitting beside her. She can't read yet, but she has her coloring book. And I asked her, I was like, what are my girls doing? And my daughter says, we're just reading. She has a coloring book, but she's just copying. It's like,
Yeah, she's replicating. That's pretty awesome, man. And I, my daughter's, she's about to be 7 months old next in a few days, but I'm reading her The Hobbit.
Yeah,
someone said to me one time,
pick.
they were like, well, she needs to be here in Minnie Mouse. And I'm like, no, because there's no, I'm sorry, but to me, there's no value there. Like The Hobbit, it's actually a really powerful story, and it's good literature. She's going to gain a lot more from this over time than she will Mickey Mouse. Now, there's a time and place for little things like that, but I'm going to read her this often for the rest of her year, the years I get to read to her.
The valuable archetypes at a young age, it forms her personality.
And over time, that's going to embed there because I think it's such a pure story for her to, to understand. So yeah, man, there's all those little actions, man, have such a massive impact, and it all comes down to intention, and the intention you put behind it. And so I know we got to cut out, but I was talking to a buddy of mine about doing like dad specific podcasts and talking about fatherhood and stuff like that. Cause I'm like really passionate about that. And I like hearing your mindset on things like that because it's your daughter's going to be exceptional. Sounds like she already is. So I'm excited to watch that journey from afar and everything. So thanks for sharing, man. I want to hear your perspective there. So, real quick, are you going to get her into jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. I just set up in my garage. I just set up our mats. I just cut them out, and I got our wall mats up. I actually just did that last weekend. So, I want her to start training at 4. So she's about to be 4. So, and we're going to start with like 1-2 days a week. Me, her, and mom are going to train in the garage. And mom actually wants to learn. She wants to actually learn jiu-jitsu as well, so that she can do it. Stephanie wants to do it with her daughter Holland. So it'll be another family activity, and we're going to start it nice and easy. She already spars. My daughter, she's about to be 4. She can do a foot sweep, a single leg, an arm bar. She learned that just from watching us. I didn't show her the arm bar. She can do a straight ankle lock. She can do spider guard, and she can do X guard. But what I call it, I just say, I'll show her a move. I work through it with her. And then when me and her will spar, I call it play. I say, hey, you want to play? We shake hands and we go at it. We're going to start with probably 2 days a week. And then for our gym, Phoenix MMA, we start our children's program at 4 years old. So I'm going to get her warmed up for that and then get her in class once she's 4.
See, and I'm busting my ass now with all this in school. So that, because my daughter would be 4 around that time, when I'm graduating with all that. And, and I'm working around the clock to allow for that because I want to get back into jiu-jitsu, and that's something I want to introduce my daughter to as well, because I want to be able to, over the years, that's something we can always work on together. I'm not going to be out in the soccer field, but we can go roll and we could learn little techniques, and it's just something that I can watch her grow and be very interactive with her on that journey. And Lydia was actually wanting to get into it too. So same thing, man. I'm like, that's super exciting, man. I'm going to teach her boxing too, just because I find that very valuable. But yeah, dude, it's really cool. So, I'm excited to watch that as well, man. And I know you got to cut out of here, but we are going to get Cory back on here soon because I feel like there's so much left out that we can tackle. Yeah, dude. Even in your story, there were some things I wanted to hit on because I know you've had quite a bit of travels for all these tournaments and stuff, and I want to hear more about that. And there's a lot to put in there. So we'll make it happen, bro. Yeah, man. I think we got it. Yeah, at least we could go 2 more hours easy. This is actually really easy. So it's enjoyable, man. I truly appreciate that, man. We set a really good space here, so that's a perfect review. So thank you for being here, Cory, man. I know you got to get after it, dude. Anything else you want to say? Not much. I think everything I got, other than just if you want to train, you're in the Mount Juliet area, check us out, Phoenix MMA. If you are nervous because you're like, hey, I am out of shape, I've never done a combat sport, I've never lifted a weight, do not let that stop you. I got like a mini mohawk right now, but we are, it's not a bunch of, we do got some mohawks in the gym. We do got some face tattoos and stuff like that. But we are not going to kill you your first day. My goal, all of the students and coaches at Phoenix MMA, our goal is if you are at level 0, we want to build you to level 50. And then when you get to level 50, if you want to go to level 200 so you can compete, we'll get you there. But if you're insecure about your body, what you look like, you're nervous, you get nervous if you were to have to fight, we are not going to injure you your first day. We're not going to Thunderdome you your first day. We are going to teach you. As you get better, we will gradually turn the heat up and put the pressure on you more and more. We'll temper you over time. So we always want new students. You don't have to be advanced. If you're an advanced student and you want to become a world champion, we created our first world champion early this year, Hunter Gregory. He's probably about to win his 2nd world title in 2 weeks. Jackson Whitlow
if you could gamble on jiu-jitsu, gamble on Jackson. You can't for the world championships, but I'm trying to like find an event where I could challenge somebody that's like a celebrity and put like $10,000 on the line with Jackson and be like, hey, I guarantee he can submit you in less than 60 seconds. That kid is a freak. He's going to win a world title in 2 weeks. And we just did the ADCC in Orlando. We got the no Tennessean has ever won an ADCC Open. It's the ADCC Open. There were 0 Tennesseans who had won that event. We had the first, second, and third. 3 of our competitors. We had a 6-man team that went. We placed 4th place overall as a team. The team that beat us had like 50 competitors. So we had 6 people that went. We had 3 gold medals, 1 bronze medal. It's actually insane. Like ADCC is as hard as the world championships to take a 6-man team and we bring back 3 gold medals and a bronze. It's crazy.
Dude. That's badass.
Yeah, that
Congrats to you guys.
Super hyped. Yeah. So if you're a high level competitor and you want to take it to the next level, come see us. If you're a beginner, we'll help you come see us as well.
Oh yeah. And last question, real quick. What is your relentless pursuit?
My relentless pursuit would be to become the best jiu-jitsu instructor in Tennessee. I have a lot of technical holes still in my game. I've trained since 2002. I've studied since 2002, 6-7 days a week, but there are still holes that I have that I need to refine. My goal is to become the best instructor in Tennessee and ultimately become one of the best instructors in the United States and in the world.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, we'll watch you do it. Stoked for it, bro.
Thanks, dude.
Well, hey, Cory, thanks for coming. Honored to have you. Until next time.
Thanks.
See you next time.